Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. As the holiday season rolls around, our homes fill with the scent of pine needles, the twinkle of lights, and the excitement of presents under the tree. We sing carols, hang stockings, and maybe even leave out some cookies for Santa Claus. But have you ever stopped to wonder where all these traditions came from? How did a religious observance in the Middle East transform into the global cultural phenomena we know today? Well, grab a cup of hot cocoa, get cozy, and let's unwrap the incredible, surprising, and sometimes downright weird history of Christmas. First things first, let's talk about the date. Why December 25th? The Bible doesn't actually specify a date for Jesus' birth. In fact, early Christians didn't celebrate it at all. The big holiday for them was Easter. It was until the 4th century that Pope Julius I officially declared December 25th as the day to celebrate the Nativity. So why that date? The leading theory is a strategy you could call if you can't beat M, join M. You see, December 25th was already a huge party day for the Romans. It was the festival of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, celebrating the return of longer days after the winter solstice. By placing Christmas on this date, the church could co-opt a popular pagan festival and make it easier for people to convert to Christianity. It was a clever way to blend old traditions with new beliefs. Before Christmas became, Christmas, winter was a time of both fear and celebration for many ancient European cultures. The winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, was a major event. People celebrated because they knew the worst of winter was over and they could look forward to the return of the sun and longer days. In Scandinavia, the Norse celebrated Yule from the winter solstice through January. Fathers and sons would bring home large logs, which they would set on fire. The people would feast until the log burned out, which could take as many as 12 days. They believed that each spark from the fire represented a new pig or calf that would be born during the coming year. Germany also had its own midwinter traditions. They honored the pagan god Odin, who they believed flew through the sky at night to observe his people and decide who would prosper or perish. Because of this, many people chose to stay inside. This fear and respect for a powerful gift-giving figure flying through the winter sky. Does that sound a little familiar? It's one of the many threads that would eventually be woven into the character of Santa Claus. So, for a long time, Christmas in Europe was a bit of a rowdy affair. Think Mardi Gras, but in the middle of winter. It was a carnival-like time where the rich would pay their debts to the poor and people would eat, drink, and party. However, when the Protestant Reformation came along in the 17th century, things changed. Leaders like Oliver Cromwell in England wanted to purify religion and get rid of what they saw as excessive, non-biblical celebrations. So in the 1640s, Christmas was actually banned in England. Anyone caught celebrating could be fined. The same thing happened with the Puritans who settled in America. In Massachusetts, celebrating Christmas was illegal from 1659 to 1681. For them, it was a day for solemn reflection, not for parties and feasts. So, how did Christmas make its big comeback and become the family-friendly holiday we know and love today? We can largely thank two influential writers from the 19th century. The first was Washington Irving. In his 1819 collection of stories, The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Cruikshank, he painted a nostalgic, romantic picture of a harmonious English Christmas where a squire welcomed peasants into his home to share in the festivities. He essentially invented a tradition by describing it so beautifully, making Americans long for a simpler, more heartwarming way to celebrate. The real game changer, however, was Charles Dickens. In 1843, he published A Christmas Carol. This story wasn't just a literary masterpiece, it was a cultural reset. The tale of Ebenezer Scrooge's transformation from a bitter miser to a generous, joyful man resonated deeply with people in Victorian England and America. It reframed Christmas as a time for family, charity, and goodwill towards all. It basically gave the holiday a new moral core and made it a holiday centered on the home and the heart, rather than a wild public festival. The story was an instant blockbuster, and its vision of Christmas with family gatherings, festive food, and acts of kindness is the one that has largely endured to this day. Now, let's talk about some of those iconic symbols. What about the Christmas tree? This tradition comes from Germany. For centuries, Germans had been bringing evergreen plants into their homes during winter as a symbol of life in the midst of darkness. In the 16th century, German Christians are said to have started decorating them. The story goes that Protestant reformer Martin Luther was the first to add lighted candles to a tree. Walking home one winter evening, he was captivated by the sight of stars twinkling through the evergreens, and he wanted to recreate this scene for his family. This tradition was brought to America by German immigrants in the 1800s, but it didn't really catch on with the general public at first. What made the Christmas tree go viral? The royal family, of course. In 1846, the popular English newspaper, the Illustrated London News, published a sketch of Queen Victoria and her German husband, Prince Albert, standing with their children around a decorated Christmas tree. Victoria was a massive trendsetter, and what the royals did, everyone else wanted to do. Almost overnight, the Christmas tree became the must-have decoration in both Britain and America. And finally, what about the big man himself, Santa Claus? His story is a fascinating blend of different historical figures and legends. The original inspiration was Saint Nicholas, a 4th century Christian bishop from Myra in modern-day Turkey. He was known for his piety and kindness, and there are many legends about him secretly giving gifts to the poor. One famous story tells of him saving 3 poor sisters from being sold into slavery by their father by providing them with a dowry, which he dropped down the chimney. The gold coins supposedly landed in stockings that were hanging by the fire to dry. Sound familiar? The image of St. Nicholas traveled through Europe, where his name was adapted. In Holland, he was known as Sinterklaas. Dutch immigrants brought the legend of Sinterklaas with them to America in the 17th and 18th centuries. But the modern image of Santa, the jolly, fat man with a white beard and a red suit, was solidified in the 19th century. In 1822, a minister named Clement Clark Moore wrote a poem for his children called An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas. You probably know it by its first line. "'Twas the night before Christmas." This poem gave us the flying reindeer with their names, the sleigh full of toys, and Santa's magical entry through the chimney. But the final touch came from a cartoonist. From 1863 to 1886, Thomas Nast drew a series of cartoons for Harper's Weekly that created our definitive image of Santa. He gave him the North Pole Workshop, the elves, and the list of naughty and nice children. Later, in the 1930s, Coca-Cola began featuring this version of Santa in their Christmas ads, cementing his image in popular culture worldwide. So there you have it. The Christmas you celebrate today is a rich tapestry woven from Roman festivals, Norse mythology, German traditions, Victorian literature, and some brilliant 19th century marketing. It's a holiday that has constantly evolved, adapting and absorbing new customs along the way. From a pagan sun festival to a banned Puritan observance, and finally to a global celebration of family, giving, and joy. Its a history as magical and enchanting as the holiday itself. What are some of your favorite family traditions for the holidays? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear how you all celebrate. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind our world. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.